The Arctic is no place for the weak. In a place where a gallon of milk costs $12 and a frozen pizza is 3 times the price of gasoline, a single walrus can save an entire town. Welcome to Nunavut, a land where winter lasts for more than 9 months of the year, where temperatures can drop to minus 50 degrees Celsius, and where the sun appears for only 4 hours a day. How can humans face a giant creature that is not merely food, but the heartbeat of survival, the golden thread that binds human culture to the frozen world that surrounds them? In this episode, Agriculture Insight takes you deep into the Arctic to explore how indigenous communities hunt, adapt, and seek sustainable solutions for life on the edge of the world. Unlike Antarctica, a continent surrounded by ocean, the Arctic is a frozen ocean surrounded by land. There, amid frigid currents and veils of white mist, the walrus reigns as the uncrowned king of the ice seas. An adult walrus can weigh nearly a ton, providing up to 600 kilograms of edible meat, enough to feed 30 to 40 people for weeks, offering meat, fat, oil, and hide, treasures more precious than gold in a world ruled by eternal cold. The walrus is a master of adaptation, a giant born to survive in ice. Beneath its thick, wrinkled skin lies a layer of blubber up to 10 centimeters deep, preserving warmth even when submerged in water, tens of degrees below freezing. Its tusks, nearly a meter long, are not only weapons but tools, used to haul its heavy body onto ice, carve breathing holes, or assert dominance within the herd. Have you ever seen a walrus up close, one of nature's most intelligent giants? What is most fascinating about this creature lies in its intelligence and extraordinary ability to connect with human emotion. Walruses can mimic dance movements, whistle, and perform delicate behaviors, responding to the tone and emotion of their trainers, a testament to remarkable perception and learning in marine mammals. Thanks to their strength and survival value, walruses have long been targets of the Arctic's top hunters, polar bears, killer whales, and humans alike, driving their numbers from 500,000 to barely half that today. Now, the Arctic is warming twice as fast as the rest of the planet. By 2040, scientists predict the Arctic may be ice-free in summer, a season without ice and a world without balance. As the white shield of the North melts away, the creatures that depend on it, bears, seals, and walruses, edge toward extinction. When the ice dies, a whole world dies with it. But in this land of extremes, the cycle never truly ends. As the cold deepens and the light fades, the hunters prepare once again for a journey of survival. The hunt begins with meticulous and disciplined preparation, a process that can take days before the boats even leave shore. The Inuit sharpen harpoons made of ivory or metal, inspect every seal skin rope, and patch their kayaks or umiaks, the traditional skin-covered boats used to cross the frozen seas. In the past, they hunted walruses with wooden spears, ropes, and sheer human strength, relying entirely on experience and teamwork. Today, many communities use motorboats and rifles to increase safety, yet the ancient rituals and techniques remain intact, preserved as a vital part of their cultural identity. In a land without supermarkets or stores, each hunt is not only an art of survival passed down through generations, but also a perilous exchange between life and danger. Every tool, every knot, every prayer, prepared for the moment the sea calls them out. When everything is ready, the hunters set out across the frozen sea. Snowmobiles pulling sleds and small motorboats gliding over solid ice. In the pale light of dawn, they move almost in silence. Their figures slowly fade into the Arctic mist, while families watch from the shore, waiting for their safe return. Each hunting crew works in perfect coordination, every movement guided by rhythm and faith passed down through generations. The Inuit call this tradition Iviksiuk, the walrus hunt. The first secret to a successful walrus hunt lies in reading the language of the ice. Hunters search for subtle signs, breathing holes, cracks, or the smooth trails where walruses once surfaced. These traces are like words in a language only the Inuit can understand. When the moment comes, precision replaces motion. The ideal distance of approach is between 30 and 50 meters, close enough for accuracy, yet far enough to avoid alerting the walruses, whose extraordinary sense of hearing and smell can detect even a single engine noise, a wisp of smoke, or the faint vibration of ice. Once submerged, they can stay underwater for more than 20 minutes, making the opportunity almost vanish. Patience, therefore, is the Inuit hunter's greatest weapon. But even patience can't stop what happens next. When the walrus surfaces, that moment becomes a test of absolute focus. The lead shooter must aim swiftly and precisely, striking the area that affects the central nervous system, rendering the animal unconscious or minimizing pain in accordance with the humane harvest standards strictly followed by today's Inuit communities. However, the walrus is protected by a layer of blubber up to 10 centimeters thick and an exceptionally hard skull built to endure impact and extreme cold, which means the first shot is sometimes not enough. In that case, the hunter fires a second shot quickly or throws a harpoon fitted with a float, called an avatak. This distinctive float, made from sealskin or synthetic material wrapped in hide, serves to hold and mark the animal's location, preventing it from sinking into the freezing depths or drifting away among shifting ice. The crew must move in perfect rhythm. One wrong pull, and the icy sea will claim them. Many hunters have lost fingers, sometimes even a thumb, without realizing it until the walrus has been safely secured alongside the boat. One mistake here doesn't just lose the catch, it could cost a life. The return is the moment walrus hunters cherish most, as those waiting on shore watch with anticipation, eager to glimpse the day's catch. That sight, simple yet profound, fills the hunters with quiet pride. The hunt ends, and the real work begins. On the ice, the hunters move fast and in perfect sync, dividing the catch, meat, fat, and hide, each with a purpose of its own. Nothing is wasted. Every part of the animal has a purpose: food, oil, rope, clothing, or handicrafts. The entire community takes part, bound together by gratitude and respect for tradition. The hunters work with steady hands and years of experience. They use ulu, the traditional curved knife, along with steel blades and handsaws, to slice through the walrus's thick skin, careful not to waste even the smallest piece. Every cut must be perfectly precise, for a single mistake could ruin the prized meat beneath a 10-centimeter layer of blubber. Meat worth as much as $15,000. Once the hide is removed, the meat is carved from the bone in large, steaming slabs. The process can take hours, even an entire day, in temperatures far below freezing. When the butchering is done, an ancient ritual takes place, Nijiktuk, the division of the catch. This is the heart of Inuit culture, a system of sharing that ensures no one is left behind. Elders and seasoned hunters are often given the finest cuts or the first portions as a sign of respect and recognition of their spiritual leadership. Women take their shares home to cook, render blubber, and craft clothing from the walrus hide. Every portion carries meaning, a reminder that life here is sustained by the spirit of sharing. But this is more than butchering. It's a ceremony. After the division comes preservation, another act of survival. The meat is wrapped in skin, buried under snow, or stored in natural ice cellars. Out here, the entire Arctic is your freezer. Some is sliced thin and air-dried, becoming mikigak, a fermented traditional dish that can last for months. Once the meat has been divided and stored, the next step is processing the walrus blubber, the Arctic's most precious resource. As Knud Rasmussen once wrote, walrus blubber was treasured. It gave light to the lamps, heat to the igloos, and strength to the hunter's body. From a single adult walrus, hunters can obtain over 100 kilograms of thick, heavy fat. The hunters and their families slice it into long strips, removing the membrane to prevent spoilage. Some of it is rendered immediately. The blubber is slowly heated in metal drums or stone pots until clear oil rises to the surface, used for the kulik, the traditional stone lamp that once lit every igloo in the Arctic night. The remaining blubber is buried in snow pits or fermented underground, becoming igunak, a traditional food that can sustain a family through months of darkness. The polar regions of our planet, yet they are never beyond our influence. United States Geological Survey. In the past, hundreds of walruses were hunted across the Arctic each year. Their tusks and hides traded by explorers and fishermen around the world. Today, hunting is strictly regulated. In Canada, Indigenous communities are permitted to harvest only 90 to 100 walruses annually, out of an estimated 12,000 animals in the Hudson Bay-Davis Strait region. These quotas not only protect the species, but also preserve balance, allowing humans and nature to coexist within a fragile ecosystem where life itself is sacred. For the Inuit, the hunt has never been an act of conquest, but a ritual of reverence, for the sea, for the ice, and for the spirit that binds them all. So tell us, could you live in balance with nature as the Inuit have for thousands of years? Next, we continue our fascinating journey to the rugged mountains of Nepal, where the legendary mad honey is harvested from the cliffs by hand. Nepal, a land nestled beneath the towering Himalayas, hides a rare and precious treasure, harvested under deadly conditions, mad honey. But what is it about this honey that makes people willing to risk their very lives to get it? For the Gurun people, mad honey is more than just a gift from nature. It is a symbol of courage, faith, and a sacred heritage passed down through generations. What makes this honey truly remarkable is its hallucinogenic power. Just 2 spoonfuls can trigger vivid visual illusions and an intense state of euphoria. To this day, it continues to be revered in traditional medicine as a natural remedy, believed to relieve joint pain, support heart health, and enhance male vitality. As a result, mad honey has become a coveted luxury item among high-end buyers, with prices reaching up to $700 per kilogram, 20 to 50 times higher than that of regular honey. Yet the allure of mad honey lies in the strange chemistry of nature itself. Mad honey contains gray anotoxins, powerful neuroactive compounds derived from the nectar of wild rhododendron flowers that grow at altitudes of 2,500 to 3,500 meters above sea level. These natural toxins are what give this extraordinary honey its potent hallucinogenic effects and its mysterious medicinal value. Only the Himalayan giant bee, the largest honeybee in the world, is capable of reaching such heights to collect nectar from these toxic blooms, producing a honey so rare it cannot be farmed, replicated, or industrialized. And to conquer this dangerous species of bee, the art of mad honey hunting has been passed down from father to son for thousands of years. Preparations begin about 3 to 4 days before the hunt, a critical phase that can determine the success or failure of the entire journey. Bamboo ladders, stretching from 20 to 30 meters, are crafted entirely by hand and secured with flexible wild rattan ropes, strong enough to bear the weight of a grown man, along with baskets heavy with honeycomb. Even the slightest mistake at this stage could mean the honey hunter never returns home. That's why not everyone can take part in these perilous expeditions. It requires not only strength and agility, but also the bravest hearts, the most experienced hands, and a pure spirit. One crucial step involves the village elders performing sacred rituals to honor the ancestors and forest spirits, praying for a safe and successful journey. The harvest comes only twice a year, and to call it a success, the hunters must bring back no less than 20 liters of shimmering golden honey. But this is far more than a tradition. One successful haul can sustain the village for months, and everyone knows failure is simply not an option. And the question still lingers: will they return with baskets full of mad honey or come back empty-handed? The first challenge they must face, even before reaching the cliffs where the hives hang, is crossing a fast-flowing and dangerous river, with nearly 50 kilograms of handmade gear strapped to their backs. They use freshly cut logs from the forest to build makeshift bridges, linking each step across the treacherous wilderness. Every member of the group holds a vital role, because without coordination, any expedition could end before it even begins. After a grueling 3 to 5 hour trek, the honey hunters finally reach the heart of an immense wilderness, the towering cliffs where the golden drops await. A wise hunter never enters battle without a plan. Before approaching the beehives, the honey hunting team divides into 3 coordinated groups. First, 2 to 3 of the strongest men are assigned to handle the ropes, raising and lowering the honey baskets and securing the bamboo ladder at the anchor point atop the cliff. This must be done with absolute precision and strength, as this rope is quite literally the lifeline of the climber below. Another group stands at the base of the cliff, preparing bundles of dry leaves and lighting fires to create smoke that repels the bees. It may sound strange, but the smoke is the key. It overwhelms the bees' sensitive airways and blocks alarm pheromones, leaving the swarm disoriented and their aggression briefly neutralized. The final group, and by far the most dangerous, is tasked with the core mission, lowering themselves down sheer cliffs hundreds of meters high to reach the hives and harvest the honeycombs. Precision is everything. Misaligned cuts may allow fallen honeycombs to be caught by the group below, but if they hit the rocks, they're likely lost forever. Once the battlefield is carefully assigned, the honey hunters begin to move in on the hives. Down below, several hunters prepare bundles of leaves to ignite a fire, the only defense against thousands of furious bees. Without this smoke-based diversion tactic, the swarm could launch a collective attack, and the consequences could be deadly. Then, the lead harvester ties a rope around his waist, grips the swaying bamboo ladder, and slowly descends the sheer cliff, carrying only a bamboo stick. The hive is alive with thousands of bees gathered in defense, completely covering its outer surface to form a massive, creature-like mass. What's most fascinating is their synchronized movement, swaying their abdomens in unison as a warning display to intruders. Attacking the hive at this point would be far too dangerous, so the hunters lower a bundle of smoldering dry leaves tied to a rope, bringing it close to the hive to calm the bees and disrupt their communication. When the hive is deemed safe enough to approach, the honey hunter carefully uses the tip of a stick to pry chunks of honeycomb away from the rock face, then guides them into a woven bamboo basket suspended by rope below. Barefoot and suspended hundreds of meters above the ground, with nothing but a bamboo ladder and a long stick, they endure dozens, even hundreds, of relentless stings. But these hunters are no strangers to hardship. With unwavering determination, they press on without hesitation. Every movement demands absolute precision, because even the slightest mistake could send the honeycomb plunging into the abyss. Or worse, it's not the honey that falls, but the hunter himself. To increase stability, seasoned hunters rely on their bare feet, toughened by years of hardship, for a sensitivity that no footwear can provide. This allows them to control the stick more precisely and grip the rugged cliff more securely. When striking the hive, not every piece of honeycomb falls directly into the basket below, and each fragment that slips and crashes down the cliff is a real loss. And like perfectly meshed cogs in a machine, teammates waiting at the top of the cliff begin hauling up the baskets, now heavy with honey. Each basket typically weighs around 3 to 6 kilograms, and a single slip could send the entire load of precious honey plummeting into the abyss, lost forever. As the hours pass, calloused hands and bare feet begin to ache with exhaustion. But this is the most critical moment. The body may be weary, but the mind must remain razor sharp. One misstep, 1 second of distraction, could mean death. The hunters know that Himalayan giant bees are in decline, driven by deforestation and climate change. That's why they never destroy the entire hive. Instead, they deliberately leave a portion behind, allowing the bees to rebuild and continue their cycle. That fragility only makes this mad honey all the more rare and valuable. After hours of relentless effort and patient harvesting, collecting honey from a dozen wild hives, the time has finally come for the hunters to taste the reward of their labor. But before they can filter the honey from the freshly harvested combs, they must first remove dozens of stingers still embedded in their skin, some even stung on the face, piercing through layers of protective cloth. The venom from these stings causes intense burning pain and swelling, far more potent than that of regular bees, and in severe cases can cause anaphylactic shock or even death. If you've never witnessed it, honey pressing is a moment both essential and profoundly sweet, more so than any other stage in this extraordinary journey shaped by nature and human hands. With their calloused hands, the hunters begin pressing, sometimes using bare strength, other times with a simple wooden press to apply pressure to the combs. Thick, amber-colored honey begins to ooze out, drop by golden drop, into bowls or aluminum basins placed below. Since the honey is never heated or filtered through industrial methods, it retains its wild aroma and the unique, bittersweet, spicy flavor found only in Himalayan mad honey. Some even describe the taste as a strange heat rushing to the head, yet oddly fragrant. The leftover wax is squeezed dry and set aside, sometimes used to make candles or fuel. With prices ranging from $150 to as high as $900, and in rare, premium batches even reaching $1,200 per kilogram, some consumers remain hesitant, wondering if such an exorbitant price can truly be justified. In recent years, the number of hives clinging to these cliffs has been cut in half, devastated by deforestation and the creeping shadow of climate change. With every passing season, finding colonies that still survive becomes more difficult, and in some countries, mad honey is even restricted or banned altogether, including the United States, South Korea, and parts of Europe. But that's not the only threat. The pull of city life is quietly unraveling this tradition. As the youth leave, fewer hands climb the cliffs, and fewer hearts hear the call of the wild. What we witness today may well be the final echoes of an ancient way of life. For them, each climb is more than a harvest. It is a test of courage, a ritual of remembrance, and a profound act of reverence for the natural world. In their hands, mad honey is more than just a delicacy. It is a golden thread connecting the wild cliffs to a fading heritage and to the fragile balance between man and the mountains. But as the hives grow scarcer and the cliffs fall silent with each passing generation, one question lingers in the thin, icy air of the Himalayas. How much longer will those ancient songs echo through these majestic peaks? According to statistics from the International Shark Attack File, on average, only about 5 to 10 people worldwide die from shark attacks each year, a figure even lower than the number of fatalities caused by cows. Among more than 500 shark species, only a few, such as the great white, tiger shark, and bull shark, have been recorded to attack humans, and most skin is used to make clothing and accessories. Shark fins are turned into shark fin soup, an extravagant delicacy highly prized in many Asian countries, while squalene extracted from shark livers is employed in cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, and lubricants, powering an industry worth up to $1 billion. Despite its nutritional value, shark meat can also be deadly. In Iceland, the meat of the Greenland shark contains toxic compounds, and only through a closely guarded traditional process does it become the infamous yet controversial delicacy, hakkarl. From immense economic value to the looming threat of extinction, it all begins with a single starting point: the art of shark hunting. Shark hunting has existed from ancient times to the present day. Fishermen employ specialized techniques, such as gill nets and encircling nets, massive vertical walls of mesh that can stretch for several kilometers. The mechanism of this method is simple. When a shark swims into the net, its gills, fins, or teeth become entangled in the mesh, preventing it from escaping. While net fishing yields large catches, it also poses risks to unintended species. That is why, alongside nets, many fishermen also choose the longline method, allowing them to better control the catch. With ultra-durable carbon fiber rods, lines capable of withstanding hundreds of kilograms, and specially designed hooks, they brace themselves for a grueling battle of strength against the ocean's apex predator. Once a shark is hooked, reeling it in becomes an exhausting test of endurance, often requiring at least 2 people working together. The golden key to successful shark hunting also lies in the use of small bait fish and sound-emitting devices to lure them closer. On larger fishing vessels, sharks are sometimes processed directly on board, where they are stunned and then cooled by pumping ice-cold water or circulating seawater into their stomach or gills. At the end of the hunt, the prized catch is taken straight to port, where major seafood hubs and processing plants stand ready to receive it. In Indonesia, one of the world's largest shark fishing nations, bustling fish markets serve as the main trading grounds, where freshly landed sharks are auctioned before moving on to processing and export. Fishermen use sturdy bamboo poles to carry prized catches weighing hundreds of kilograms from the docks into the bustling fish markets. This grueling work demands not only endurance and precise coordination between shoulders under strain, but also resilience, years of experience, and swift handling, since shark meat is highly perishable. Experts, traders, or factory representatives then assess the quality of the sharks, checking freshness, degree of damage, flesh elasticity, gill color, and eye clarity. Based on these criteria, the sharks are classified by size, species, and intended use before being sold directly, sent to processing plants, or exported to international markets. At processing facilities, once the sharks are received and preliminarily handled, the most crucial stage begins: fin removal, the part that determines up to 80% of a shark's total value. Skilled workers swiftly use razor-sharp specialized knives to slice through the shark's body, separating the dorsal, pectoral, and caudal fins with practiced precision. Each fin is carefully trimmed to remove excess flesh and thoroughly cleaned before being sorted. The fins are then graded by size, weight, and quality, as even the slightest differences can significantly impact their market value. After the fins are removed, the shark's body is opened to extract the fillets. Remarkably, sometimes female sharks are found to be pregnant. In such cases, the embryos inside are taken out and separated, often sold as a special product or used for scientific research. In Japan, shark processing facilities, such as those at Kesanuma Port, which accounts for nearly 90% of the country's shark fin trade, operate on an industrial scale, handling hundreds of tons of sharks every day. Here, record-length sharks command staggering prices at auction, with some specimens fetching several times the value of ordinary catches and soaring into tens of thousands of dollars. Once classified, millions of shark fins are sun-dried or frozen to preserve their value before being exported. Ultimately, these prized fins become the key ingredient for one of the world's most luxurious and controversial dishes: shark fin soup. Today, the largest consumer markets are in China and Hong Kong, where shark fin soup is regarded as a symbol of status and wealth, frequently served at weddings and lavish banquets. Beyond the fins, shark meat is also an important part of the harvest, regarded as a nutrient-rich food source with protein levels even higher than lean beef. Its flavor is often compared to tuna or chicken, and it is mainly consumed in domestic markets or processed into dried and canned products. But the story does not end there. The ingenuity of humans in conquering the ocean's top predator goes far beyond imagination. In Iceland, fermented shark, known as hakkarl, is considered one of the world's most unusual and challenging traditional delicacies, dividing people worldwide into two camps: those who revere it as a cultural treasure, and those who find it almost impossible to stomach. What makes it even more remarkable is that this dish must be made from the Greenland shark, a deep-water species that can live for more than 400 years, whose flesh is toxic when eaten fresh due to its high levels of trimethylamine oxide and ammonia. For this reason, Icelanders are compelled to process it through fermentation, a technique preserved for centuries. Instead of burying the meat underground or in sand as in the old days, many modern facilities in Iceland now ferment it in wooden containers, a more contemporary method that still retains the dish's wild essence. The hefty slabs are stacked in large wooden boxes, designed with ventilation gaps to allow fluids to drain. Under the weight of the meat itself and the pressure of the wooden lid above, tissue fluids and toxic compounds such as ammonia begin to seep out. Over the course of several weeks to months, natural enzymes quietly break down proteins, gradually removing toxins while producing the dish's notorious pungent aroma that overwhelms many on their first encounter. The fermentation involves no chemicals or seasoning, relying solely on thyme, natural bacteria, and Iceland's cold, damp climate. After 6 to 12 weeks, once the meat has matured sufficiently, it is taken out and hung on wooden racks or outdoor frames to dry. At this stage, the outer surface darkens into a tough crust, while the inside becomes chewy, whitish, and saturated with a bleach-like ammonia odor. Have you ever tried the powerful flavor of this delicacy? The result is dense, whitish meat that releases a pungent ammonia-like odor, yet is regarded as a culinary treasure of Icelandic tradition, appearing only on special occasions at a price of around $20 to $30 per kilogram. From offshore hunts to industrial processing lines and unique traditional dishes, the journey of sharks illustrates how humans have utilized this apex predator to meet culinary and commercial demands worldwide. Sensing a foreign object inside, the oyster reacts instinctively. Since it cannot expel the irritant, it secretes nacre, a natural compound made of calcium carbonate and organic substances, to encase it, reducing irritation. Over months and years, layer upon layer of nacre accumulates, sometimes in the thousands or even millions, creating the pearl's smooth, lustrous surface. The longer the oysters remain underwater, the larger and more valuable the pearls will be. And you see, not every hardship that happens is negative. Pearls are proof of how nature transforms irritation into beauty. Just like a grain of sand in an oyster becomes a pearl, or coal under pressure turns into a diamond. After 1 to 3 years of patient waiting, when the pearl has reached its perfect maturity, it is finally time for humans to bring these treasures of the ocean to the surface. When the cool autumn breeze gently taps on the still waters, it marks the busiest time of the year for pearl farmers as they dive into the harvest season. Before diving into the process of harvesting saltwater pearls, let's first look at freshwater pearl farms in China, where the quick and straightforward harvesting process prioritizes speed and yield over careful selection and refinement, making China the producer of 80% of the world's freshwater pearls. Once harvested from the ponds, the oysters are gathered at centralized processing facilities. All the oysters are opened simultaneously, with no prior sorting. Workers use specialized knives to open the oysters and extract pearls quickly and manually. The process involves simply scraping the tissue inside to retrieve several pearls at once. On average, each worker can process between 100 and 300 oysters per hour, and in large-scale facilities, this number can rise to 500 to 600. Though freshwater pearls command high prices in the market, farm workers typically earn between 200 to 400 USD per month, a mere 1/10 to 1/100 of the value of premium sea pearls. After extraction, the pearls are placed in large baskets and rinsed in water to remove impurities. Given the vast quantity of freshwater pearls, they are often washed in bulk either by machine or using simple manual methods. Each freshwater oyster can produce 10 to 30 pearls, while sea oysters can only produce 1 pearl over many years. This results in the mass production of freshwater pearls, which is highly efficient, low cost, and abundant in contrast to the more painstaking sea pearl harvest. So when it comes to the pearl industry, what truly defines economic value? High-end quality or large-scale production? In stark contrast to the freshwater pearl harvesting process, harvesting sea pearls involves a meticulous and detailed procedure, demanding high skill and patience from the divers. Beneath the deep blue waters, divers quietly descend into the depths and gradually pull up cages filled with oysters. Each cage is heavy with hundreds of oysters, small creatures lying still within their rough shells, hiding the precious pearls inside. This work requires great finesse and skill, as even a small mistake could damage the pearls. But the journey of the pearl is not over yet. The oysters are brought back to the processing workshops, where each one is carefully cleaned. The outer shell is scraped to remove barnacles and other marine organisms, revealing the rough, textured surface, ready for the next critical inspection step. Next, the oysters are passed through X-ray machines to determine which ones contain pearls. Only oysters showing signs of having pearls inside are opened to avoid waste. Before being placed on the harvesting table, the oysters are stimulated to open their shells, making the extraction process smoother. They are placed in special baskets and exposed to a controlled temperature seawater solution, allowing the shells to gradually open. Once the oysters begin to open, a small, delicate rod is inserted to keep the oyster from closing before it is moved to the harvesting table. After the carefully selected oysters are ready, the real magic begins. Extracting the pearls is not just a technical process. It is also an art that requires precision and absolute accuracy. First, the oysters are secured on a specialized stand that holds them firmly but allows enough flexibility for handling. A tool is inserted between the two halves of the shell to create a small gap, just enough to access the interior without damaging the shell structure. Once the oyster is open, a thin, rounded scraper is used to separate the tissue and extract the pearl. The pearl offers no resistance as she is gently extracted from the pearl sac, naked and defenseless, inviting man's gaze to observe her, judge her, measure her, and finally classify her by her diameter, her color, her shape, and the delicate perfection or imperfection of her surface. Behind the dazzling beauty of each pearl lies a harsh reality. Most mother oysters are sacrificed in the process of producing a perfect pearl. A small number of healthy oysters can be reimplanted to produce new pearls, up to 2 or 3 times in their lifetime. However, the highest quality pearls are typically formed during the first graft, as the initial layers of nacre are always the smoothest and most uniform. Even when no longer able to produce pearls, mother oysters continue to give. Their shells are crafted into nuclei for new pearls, while their meat becomes a nutritious delicacy, a humble yet complete offering. After being harvested, pearls do not immediately become jewelry. They must first undergo a meticulous crafting process. Master artisans begin by assessing each pearl to determine the most suitable form of craftsmanship. Some naturally beautiful pearls require only a simple drill hole to be strung into necklaces, while others may be polished or combined with gold, silver, and diamonds to create luxurious pieces of jewelry. Pearls that do not meet the standard in shape or luster are often repurposed into pearl powder. Since freshwater pearls are produced in large quantities and have a lower market value, most pearl powder available today is derived from them. The production of pearl powder involves grinding the pearls into an ultra-fine powder while preserving their valuable minerals, such as calcium, proteins, and amino acids. Since ancient times, pearls have been revered as treasures of the sea, often referred to as tears of the gods or frozen moonlight that has fallen into the depths of the ocean. In Western culture, pearls have long been cherished as heirlooms, traditionally passed from mothers to daughters as symbols of purity, good fortune, and timeless elegance. Meanwhile, in Eastern traditions, pearls are regarded as emblems of prosperity and longevity, often representing harmony and strong family bonds. From a symbol of royal power to an object of prestige and sophistication, pearls are not only masterpieces of nature, but also enduring testaments to eternal beauty, resilience, and the timeless values that nature bestows upon humanity.